This is Rudo Radio coming to you from the 559.
Hello and welcome to Rudo Radio, SB Nation and Cage Side Seats weekly wrestling podcast. I am Nick Bond, joined as ever by Mr. Mark. Crap.
God.
So close.
Nick, I was gonna just be like, oh man, the enunciating Nick Bond. I like it. But now...
Norm! That's your last name, right?
No.
Is it? Oh, Normandin.
Yes, thank you.
It's close.
A high schooler emailed me for career advice yesterday, and they called me Mr. Normandin. And I don't know, I'm tempted to just respond with like,
fuck you.
No, I'm tempted to respond with like, so there's a good chunk of my career where, you know, I didn't make money or have a job and had to move back in with my parents and like live in the basement briefly and work for a lot less than I was worth and all these things. And then I almost quit the entire industry. I hope that helps.
Do you like despair? You'll love writing.
Yeah. Also, thank you for emailing me asking for career advice about the journalism industry that you would like to go into the day before ESPN decided to just lay off a ton of talented people.
And Danny Cannell.
Hey, so yeah. Zach H, if you are listening and you are interested in the wrestling portion of my career, I don't know, don't just go find something else to do. This is a terrible soul-sucking industry. But also, let's talk about wrestling.
Speaking of soul-sucking.
Hey, that's a joke about Raw.
Yeah, and the main event, which on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being like literally no, and 10 being a ton, how much sense did that main event make?
It's scale breaking in the wrong direction. Your
like
answer
a
is
negative.
Yeah, it's
1 teen.
Is that a number? We'll go with it. You know, for these purposes, yes, they've unearthed the number. That's how far underground they went with the rating. I actually thought Raw was fine this week, like overall.
Yes.
The overall package of Raw was fine. I thought the open was long, which, you know, shocking. Especially on a go-home show where they're like, let us recap a bunch of stuff. But then it's like, wait, why is the open of the show kind of going through a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with Payback? And then you know, you realize, oh, it's because, like, various parts throughout the show and also the end are going to have nothing to do with Payback. Which makes a lot of sense for a go-home show, that you would devote so much of it to something that has nothing to do with the show you're trying to convince people to watch.
Yeah, literally one of the guys in the opening segment of the 3 is on the card for Sunday. And the one guy that's on Raw and on the card in that segment was Jericho, who's probably leaving SmackDown or not coming back after Payback anyways.
Leaving Raw.
Yeah, leaving Raw for SmackDown, sorry. Or not coming back anyways because he's murdered by Kevin Owens.
Okay,
so.
I like to think about SmackDown during Raw too, so.
Also, we found out that, and this is skipping ahead a little bit, but we found out on SmackDown, even if Kevin Owens loses, he's still on SmackDown. He's not getting brought back to Raw.
Oh, good. Good.
Which is good, because it makes me feel like Chris Jericho might actually win that match.
But then he'd take the title.
That's fine. As an American, I am troubled by Kevin Owens being the face of America.
Well, I mean, yes, because booing at foreigners is a thing that we do.
Oh, he's not even.
There's a whole meta thing we should talk about at some point with people's reactions to gender and how actually we're the bad guys, but I'm not going to do it now because I still want to make fun of this main event. So, let's set the scene. First of all, this had one of the great things, which is a heel in a handicap match, and they're by themselves. And
not just a heel, a chicken shit heel whose entire thing is getting an advantage on his opponent and just milking that for all of its worth.
Yeah. And to, like, Miz's credit, he tried to get a partner throughout the night. It's not like he was, I can do this by myself. He tried to get a partner multiple times. He got a note written by, we need to find out who wrote it, right?
Yes. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking about the drifter in the background. And I'm just being like, fuck that. Not in a million years.
Yeah,
Brother Masick.
We did not find out who wrote the note, right?
No.
So there are two possibilities. Not to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to anyway. There are two possibilities. Kevin Owens wrote it because he thought it'd be funny. Right?
Yeah.
But Kevin Owens is just like, hold on, I'm not that. Just, I'm going to call someone, and they're going to write a note, and they're going to give it to Miz, and then I'm going to turn on TV after my house show match and watch him just get his ass kicked because it's funny. Like, that's great. Or there's Dean Ambrose wrote the note because he just wanted to fuck with Miz, which is also hilarious, but it would be more hilarious if we found out, that Dean did that. Like, maybe next week when they're building up the IC feud some more, just to make sure that this main event had something that ties to literally anything.
And here's what I don't get. It's not like Kevin Owens and the SmackDown team were touring in, like, Bangkok, right? He could have totally shown up for both shows and not had Bray Wyatt, who's in a feud with a completely different person for a completely different title that is not on the show, show up in the main event for almost no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Dean Ambrose's reaction to Bray Wyatt showing up, which is just his, like, eternal, like, I hate you, that's right. But it just... So, your main event of your go-home show has Miz facing off against Dean Ambrose, neither of whom are on the card. Because Miz is, like, doing a Miz TV with Finn Balor on the pre-show. Those two aren't wrestling each other. The Intercontinental title's not on the show. Chris Jericho has a match, but it has nothing to do with, like, Dean or with Miz. And then Bray Wyatt just showed up because they needed to show Bray Wyatt on the show at some point.
Yeah, that's literally what it felt like.
So, I don't know. It's not connected to anything. The segments leading up to it are great, though. I will say that. Besides the show open, which, Dean Ambrose giving Chris Jericho the jacket, which was literally just had, like, Christmas lights drawn up on it, was great. Because it's, hey, remembering their actual previous feud.
Yeah, that was the other thing with that opening segment. It is actually tied up a storyline that had been going for like a year, which is that Jericho was originally who got the Ambrose Asylum canceled. So at least they, like, acknowledge that. Like, that was... Actually, no, I think the Braun segment is the one that best encapsulates the problem with Raw. But there's just this weird, like... They never quite want to push it to where it needs to go, but there's a bunch of stuff in the thing you're watching that that's totally good and totally, like, worth watching, but they never give you the payoff you want, not because they're trying to make you want the payoff more, but because they don't totally understand what exactly you're looking for.
Yeah.
And this just feels like another match like this.
It's like, I have nothing to add. Yep.
Yeah, it's...
On the head.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and Braun did great. I actually liked the Kalisto-Braun match.
Yeah, I like Kalisto winning with some fluke bullshit, too, and Braun just being like, oh, I was just messing with you, man. I wasn't going to really hurt you. But
yeah, he was like, I was taking it easy on you, and now I have to murder you.
Those one-handed choke slams. Like, oh, man, I can't even formulate words for them now, and it's days later. But just him picking Kalisto up off the ground by his throat, and so strong that he's, like, doing it with, like, Kalisto totally prone, and then just slamming him back down again.
Yeah, the only thing better than the one-handed choke slams was the suplex dart.
It did make me think about the dart, and I was trying to figure out what do I like better, and then I'm like, well, Kalisto probably remembers it happening, so that's good.
Yeah, there was at least a slight problem with the ending of the match in terms of that stunt. Him throwing him off the edge of the stage, which is like a 1.5 feet.
Well, hold on. You got to remember, it's 1.5 feet for people who are of regular height. So for Kalisto, that was a huge fall.
Oh yeah, that's like an ant falling off a building.
Yeah, exactly. So Kalisto is very injured. He's very hurt. It's quite the fall for him. You don't understand. We're all much taller than Kalisto. And I'm not even... God, you forget how tiny Kalisto is. Seeing him next to Braun Strowman helps, but you know what really put it into perspective for me? Him standing next to Kurt Angle. Because Kurt Angle is, huge and muscular and, 90% neck, but he's not a tall man.
No, he's normal. He's average height, and Kalisto's like a little baby next to him.
He is towering over Kalisto.
And can I just say this, Mark? Kalisto did a real good lucha type thing.
What was the real good lucha type thing?
The whole thing was a really good lucha type thing. I don't know if you remember his last interview on SmackDown, which was his only interview on SmackDown after he got drafted.
The one where he said, "God damn it."
Yeah, and called it, I believe, a real good lucha thing. This match was honestly a really good, it was a really good showcase for Kalisto. Kalisto won by fluke, but he didn't win.
He survived.
Yes.
Yes. With intention.
Yeah, he shouldn't have won this match because he ended up getting murdered for it. But, he won the match because Braun Strowman didn't take him seriously.
Yeah, Braun... It's not like Braun asked for the match and then messed around with Kalisto for an extended period of time. Kalisto demanded the match, and Braun was like, I will teach you to demand things. I will teach you what happens when you demand things. And it's me throwing you around for fun for 5 minutes instead of just, catapulting you into the dumpster and ending the match.
Yeah, I think we were both hoping for him to do that lawn dart thing into the dumpster, but he'd die. He would die.
Straight up die. And there was no trash in the dumpster. It was just a fresh dumpster with nothing in it. This isn't Mick Foley elbow dropping into a dumpster full of trash and you see all the foam pop up and everything. This is just a brand new dumpster.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think there was enough in the segment that kept, if not the exact streak of awesomeness that Braun had going, it kept it, alive. Those choke slams and that dart were cool enough that I, hated the ending, but really thought the segment told the story it was supposed to, which is that, Braun has some stuff to learn, but he's a monster destroyer who's just wants to kill everybody.
It also helps that Roman Reigns didn't show up for the third week in a row, that helps. That just is a reminder of, oh, wow, Braun really did a number on him. This was Braun taking it easy.
Yes. And I am intrigued going forward as to the consequences of Braun's actions, because it'll be the first time Kurt Angle actually has to do something, actually go into GM mode and not just be like, we don't play politics here. He'll actually have to say, Braun, you're suspended, or Braun, I think what they do with him post Roman Reigns match is going to set the stage for everything else they do in the entire show, because he's such a force that he takes over entire hours of the show.
I kind of hope he gets suspended but keeps showing up.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah, because Brock Lesnar gets suspended and he's like, okay, fine. That's fine. I'll just come back when something big and important happens. I don't care. But Braun just continuing to travel around with them and just hurt people, that would be glorious.
Yeah, and I do like that Braun has established over and over again, although he's smart about the challenges he takes, he's always willing to take on a challenge he thinks he can win. And he thinks he can win almost all of them.
I mean, there was even logic in his... I know a lot of people got mad that he stepped back from Brock Lesnar, but there was logic in that. Roman Reigns has interfered in everything Braun Strowman has done. And Braun Strowman has interfered in everything Roman Reigns has done. These two are connected. But as, all Braun cares about, and all Braun really should care about, is that Roman interferes with everything Braun. So Braun starts fighting Brock Lesnar, in the middle of a show on Raw, just in the middle of a Raw. After Lesnar's sitting there calling out Roman Reigns, talking about how, he's going to murder him and eat his children, what do you think's going to happen? Roman Reigns is going to come out and interrupt that. So Braun being like, I'll be back for you, Brock, and that title, after I literally murder Roman Reigns. So just hold on. I got a plan. And I get the disappointment and the giants should fight each other, not with words. But I like Braun being like, no, hold up. I've seen this episode. I watched tapes, okay? Him looking in the dumpster to see if Kalisto or Roman Reigns was in there, by the way. So good. He's so smart. Braun Strowman is the only giant who has ever watched wrestling.
Yep. And it's the difference between him and basically everybody else that's come before. And I actually, if you guys haven't read it, the David Shoemaker piece on Braun does a really good job of articulating the inarticulatable. Like, it's impossible to talk about Braun without just being like, he's the greatest. But I think Shoemaker does a good job of explaining why we love him so much. My concern is, and this is something we'll talk about more in depth later, the whole, he's probably going to lose to Roman at the pay-per-view and hurt at least some of his momentum.
I don't know if he's going to.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is he's on such a streak that you wonder if they're just like, it's cool, we'll just have you win and figure it out later.
And Roman still hasn't shown up on television, so I could see, like, Braun just attacks the same body parts he already broke. And everyone forgives Roman because it's like, man, you fought valiantly, but you were, you weren't at 100% health, and Braun took advantage of that because he's smart. I think the championship matches for SummerSlam are going to be Braun versus Lesnar, and Orton versus Styles. That's what it feels like to me.
God willing.
And that would, man, I would, take my money, .gif. Let's talk about SmackDown. Some stuff that we love from SmackDown. Because they don't have a pay-per-view this week, but they had a kick-ass episode.
Not a lot of the problems. And part of it is, and I noticed this with Jinder, but also with Breezango, that you're actually allowed to move up. There's social mobility in a real way on SmackDown that just does not exist on Raw.
Yeah, Raw, like, these are the places on the card where you go, and you should be thankful you get airtime. And SmackDown is like, okay, we're going to do this thing with all these tag teams who aren't champion, and whoever wins gets a chance to be champion. I mean, that's what Jinder won. If you take the idea of why are we pushing Jinder now out of the equation, just think of it like sports. He won the match. Like, it's like nice to see SmackDown do that kind of thing where it's like, you get an opportunity. You take advantage of the opportunity, or you fail at the opportunity. Like that, there's something nice and realistic and logical and consistent about that, and it's good to see it happen with Breezango as well, winning that Beat the Clock challenge.
Yeah, both of them have won legitimate, because Breezango is clean. They beat, the Ascension clean. They didn't do anything wrong. There wasn't the Shining Stars getting involved. They just beat another team faster than the American Alphas had beat the Clones. That was it. That was all that was involved. And it was really weird to see them just do, like, here. But they did it at the same time. They did it last week with Jinder. And now Jinder stole the WWE title and has a stable. And it can happen that quickly. And I think what the WWE and Raw in particular has long been afraid of is, well, what happens if they don't like it? And your answer is, they'll just wait until you come up with something else. What really annoys them is when they have to watch the same thing over and over again, because you're trying to figure out, like, how do we make this one storyline with these 2 or 4 people last as long as is humanly possible, instead of saying, we have a roster of people, let's figure out how to mix and match them in a way that allows everyone to flourish. And
the beauty of the timing for when they did it, too, is, Jinder comes over, they don't have Backlash for a while now. SmackDown's got all this TV time to fill and this time to tell stories. And they're using it. It's not like they had a number 1 contender match 2 weeks out and we have to build up all this pressure, all this attention all this storyline between Randy Orton and Jinder in just like a real hurry. They're giving this time where it's like, oh, we're clearly establishing like who Jinder is now, who we should think of him as. These are his boys over here. And Randy Orton's not taking him seriously, which I still think Randy Orton's going to win when they have their eventual showdown. But it's nice to show, like, that's a good way to kind of show who Randy is right now. And not taking an opponent seriously is a good way to get Randy eventually back into heel mode by the time, like, AJ Styles comes up.
Yeah, to me, this is a little bit of a weird analogy, but, like, NXT feels like a startup, where you just kind of have an idea of what you want to do, but throw shit against the wall to see what works, what doesn't. Where, like, SmackDown feels like somebody, like, not a non-public company, because they're not worried about the bottom line in the, like, short-term sense. They're not worried about upsetting people by having a gender feud that doesn't go to the top of the charts. Where with Raw, they're like, ugh, the stockholders might get mad if we don't have the right we don't have Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in every main event. And it's like, there's more you can do with the show if you actually say, listen, Seth Rollins lost this match, he moves to the end of the line, or Roman Reigns shouldn't keep getting opportunities unless he starts winning them from people who hate him. I mean, obviously that's changed with Kurt Angle, but like, it seems like Raw, no matter what happens, they're going to put on the same show every week until you like it. Where SmackDown, they're like, oh, you didn't like this part of last week? Well, let's see if we can do something about that.
And that kind of fits into what they did with the six-pack challenge for number one contendership anyway, where it was like, okay, here are a bunch of people who haven't had the opportunity yet. Like, all of you, we already did this thing with opportunity with all these people to see who was going to face, Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, and then these things worked out this way, so, like, now it's someone else's turn. And AJ Styles, being a face now, has no argument. It is just like, yeah, cool, I'll go for another championship.
Yeah, my time has passed in terms of this window for me to get into this next pay-per-view. Cool, I'll deal with something else. And they did a good job of selecting the people for that six-pack challenge, where it wasn't like, oh, clearly John Cena's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Luke Harper was going to win, trying to use that logic of, like, who makes the most sense.
And they were just like, the guy who won the match makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's nice, it's refreshing. Man, like, this shit happens, and the best person, the best team doesn't always win. And, it's not even that Jinder's bad, it's just that we have been conditioned to think that he is bad because he was in 3MB.
Yeah.
Why are we okay with Heath Slater being a tag team champion? Why are we okay with Drew McIntyre coming back as this huge force of nature at NXT after being on the Indies? Like, okay, it's Jinder's turn to be significant.
It's nice to see, and this is similar to what you said, it's not always the best team that wins every year, it's the team that plays the best at the right time. And what matches like the tables rules match, and the dumpster match actually is another example, allow for you to do is to have somebody win a match, and we've talked about this before, build up off of that victory by being like, no, we won a match legitimately, but the match itself isn't the most legitimate way to do it, so let's see what you can do when you actually have a match that doesn't have a weird stipulation or something like that, but it allows you to go, this guy or girl is on this level, let's see if they can get knocked off of this level.
Yeah, I mean, remember when Alexa Bliss won the championship, and we essentially said, like, even us huge Alexa Bliss fans were like, this makes sense to have her win in a match where she doesn't have to pin Becky, because she's ready to be champion. She's not ready to pin Becky Lynch.
Exactly.
So, Jinder winning a number one contenders match where his newfound, newly introduced stable helped him win a dirty victory, that's great. That is what you should do. It's nice. It's a surprise. It's something we haven't seen. I don't know. The guy got let go by WWE. He did something to convince them to bring him back. He's looked good. I
really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed his work. He's a legit good big heel. Like, I don't really have a complaint. If this is just almost like a generic heel versus the face champion kind of feud, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. SmackDown is okay with just being like, this is a classic wrestling storyline. We hope you guys enjoy. If not, we'll do better next time.
It is difficult that it's intentionally or not being positioned as, he is different, you should boo him. Part of that comes from, I think, Jinder more being like, why are you booing me? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not a bad person.
Well, I don't even think it's I'm not a bad person. It's, don't you realize how... And I think that's what makes him a heel, as opposed to someone who they're just pushing as a heel. Is he's like, you don't like me because of these things. And it's like, well, first of all, we like you just fine. And second of all, I like him just fine.
Yeah, I never... Talking about the people who are booing him and chanting USA before he says anything.
Well, they don't like diversity. I don't...
That's what I'm saying. I can't believe they got him to boo diversity. But I don't know. There's like a nice meta narrative happening through here, which...
And that's what I was going to say, is him being the Maharaja and the self-proclaimed Maharaja is a really cool... Like, he's not pretending, and I think it was important, at least from a symbolic standpoint, that he took off his headwear. I don't know if it's a turban exactly, but he took it off mid promo to be like, this is kind of what you expect of me, and this is what I actually look like when I'm being the guy you saw on Talking Smack. Like, I'm not some caricature, although I do sometimes wear clothes that are important to my culture. I'm not this caricature that WWE has kind of made me out to be, but I am proud of my heritage, and I think yours is bullshit.
Yeah, there's some real potential here to make it work in a kind of Rusev way, where it's like, no, he's awesome, he's just an asshole, and it has nothing to do with where he's from. But you can all, I mean, there are ways to make it work in so many directions, and I'm happy to give SmackDown time. I don't think I trust Raw on this. SmackDown has built up enough, goodwill that I'm happy to see where it goes, and I'm ready to get mad at fans down the line who are still chanting USA at him when there's like other reasons. I mean, he cheated to win the contendership. Let's focus on those things.
Yeah. You're an asshole where it is fine. USA, unless he's explicitly talking, if he says something that's like the USA is bullshit, everybody here sucks, boo him and chant USA. But if he's like, I'm from India, don't be like, boo, USA.
Yeah. The real lesson is we're the real heels.
White people or Americans or both?
Yes.
No comment. Yes, sir. Yeah, and in general, I think even like the simple matches like the Randy Orton Eric Rowan match were super enjoyable.
The like 3-segment Randy Orton Eric Rowan match that I never knew we were going to get.
Yeah. Randy Orton, when he's in a match where he doesn't have to care, is pretty, like, in other words, that match was going to be carried in part by Rowan and in part by the no disqualification stipulation. So he really only had to, like, show up and not totally fuck up.
Randy Orton, when he's winning, is pretty good.
Yeah.
Or not losing, at least.
Yeah, and Eric Rowan looked great. Eric Rowan looked as good as he's looked since he's been on the roster.
Yeah, he's been doing some training, I think. I mean, he came up pretty relatively green and as like the least important person in the stable. So seeing like real progress that's been made with him is important. I mean, we forget about that stuff all the time. It's just how unimportant some guys are. And this goes back to the Jinder thing too. You can be unimportant at one point in the company's history and then be like super important. How many failed characters did JBL have before, he was like Acolyte's version of himself, which got him over as a like tag team wrestler and then became, JBL.
Yeah, which are guys go through different characters guys and girls go through characters all the time. It's not a big deal when something doesn't work out, especially, and that's one of the great things about NXT, is they can literally just like, ugh, this didn't work, and just completely repackage you.
Yeah. And it's not like anyone's saying Jinder Mahal's not a former 3MB guy. He's still the same guy. It's just like, this is a different phase of his career. Things have changed. He's not hapless. He's not just like Brock Lesnar feed anymore.
And they've done a good job of establishing, like on Talking Smack, that he's worked on this a lot. That's why he's at this place right now, is he's got his life right and his mind right, and now he's ready and he's gunning for the title. That's the storyline they're going with. Instead of just being like, weird, he was never this good. Like, they're allowing people to have nuance to their characters, even if it's like, I used to be shitty and now I'm less shitty.
Yeah, that's fine. Let him be it's a bad analogy, it sounds like I'm making fun of him, but like, let him be the Domino's Pizza guy, where it's just like, yeah, we sucked before, but we listened to some feedback, we did some work, and now we're okay.
Now we're edible. We are edible pizza. Can't order us with shoes, but we're edible pizza.
What else for SmackDown was great? Oh, man. I mean, we all knew the Lady Legacy stuff was going to happen. With Charlotte eventually.
You mean the welcoming committee?
Yes. They don't have an official name yet.
That's what they're calling it, though. I think JBL said it 4 separate times in that last segment. The welcoming committee.
I like what did Becky call them? The New Wench Order? That's good.
Becky is hot fire.
Yeah. Some would say straight fire, but
I wouldn't. That's
rude. That's Becky's thing.
It is? Fire is part of her gimmick? Did not know that.
That's straight fire before she like hits you in the corner.
I've never stayed awake through a Becky Lynch match. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
It's tryptophan based. I always eat a big turkey sandwich before one of her matches in Celebration, and then I fall right asleep.
Well, buddy, you're missing out. But on the bright side, since you didn't show up in the segment where Charlotte got her ass kicked.
I was totally awake.
Yeah, you were just there. You were focused.
That match was great, which I think the Naomi Charlotte Flair match, like, they clearly have a real chemistry and are building towards something. I really hope it isn't Charlotte Flair joining the second generation team of goobers and instead fighting against them.
I mean, this is how I feel like things are going to go. But also, aside, Naomi is using a Benadryller now, and I am here for it. Naomi's just out here using one of Ricochet's moves. No big deal. So, my assumption. Becky's not an idiot. Becky has been turned on so many times, already turned on by Charlotte. She said it's not her fight when they asked, why didn't you come out to help Charlotte? Becky's at the point in her life where she's like, I don't need to just go and save her. I don't need to save Charlotte without a good reason. Now Charlotte's in the position where she has to go to Becky for help. And you'll get Charlotte, Becky, Naomi versus, Lady Legacy, Natalya, Tamina, and Carmella. That's good. It's not just a thrown together 6-woman tag match. That is a reason to have a stable and a loose confederation of people who are not in that stable fighting each other. And I am down for that. Especially because when Charlotte eventually, vanquishes her opponents, she will then probably turn on Becky.
Yep.
Because it's like, I don't need you anymore, and now you're in my way.
Also, and this is also, for me, equally important, it could genuinely lead to James Ellsworth versus Becky Lynch.
Yeah, she better wipe the fucking floor with him from start to finish. Like, I don't want to see him get any offense in. None. I don't care if he did damage to AJ Styles at all. I just want to see Becky just destroy it. The whole match is just every suplex she knows in order.
And I'd be fine if, and this is the way in which I'd be fine with him winning, is if Carmella does shit to Becky when the ref isn't looking. Like, you could have it work both ways, but James Ellsworth cannot do anything to Becky because James Ellsworth is a human slug, and Becky Lynch is one of the 2 or 3 best, in storyline performers on the show, period, full stop.
Yeah, AJ Styles letting Ellsworth get offense in is entirely due to his own hubris and messing around with Ellsworth and forgetting that, if he accidentally gets kicked in the face once, that's a problem. Becky is not, that person.
She's in the tier. She's not in the AJ Styles tier, but she's in the tier right below.
But she knows better than to assume a win is,
yeah,
in the bag. So just
having lost a tables match, yeah.
Yes, she's learned a valuable lesson.
This is the most excited I am for any specific division, even more so than the SmackDown and Raw tag team divisions, which I am excited for. But this division feels like they could really do some good work in terms of building out, pardon the pun, the legacy of the SmackDown women's division in a way that there is none in the way that there is for Raw by proxy of it by extension of it being the main show for so long, that there's an actual history of oh man, this is the first time that a women's match is main evented Raw, where with SmackDown it was oh yeah, it's really cool that that Charlotte and Naomi are main eventing, but there's not this history. I'm not sure if it's because they've done it before, they've had women be the main event, or if it's because they're who cares, it's SmackDown. I'd like it to be that they don't care because they've had a bunch of women's main events, and this is just one in the long line. It's whoever has the best match. And I think this feud allows them to get there.
Yeah, and everything is connected without it feeling forced.
Yes.
Because even the logic of why that stable exists, it's perfect. It makes sense. Natalya especially sees all these trades of people. Nikki Bella's gone, and Alexa Bliss is gone, and Mickie James is gone, and Natalya's oh, thank God. Oh, the line just got a lot shorter. That's great. And then Charlotte shows up, and Natalya's oh, God damn it, again. So, she goes to Tamina because Tamina just shows back up and is like, I don't even know what's going on, but I want to hurt people. And Natalia's like, well, I got some plans for you. And Carmella is like, I am totally helpless, but want to appear like I'm not? Natalia's like, don't worry. It's fine. You just come with me.
Every time I see James Ellsworth, I think of the episode of Rick and Morty where you find out what Beth and Jerry think of each other, and they create these, like, organic versions of the, like, monster that they are in each other's head, and Jerry's just a worm. Just a worm. Like a fat worm with Jerry's face on it. That's what I see every time I see James Ellsworth. Who, I will say this, and then I think we can talk about Payback. He looks better with the beard.
I mean, all I can think about when I see his face is how much I want Becky to suplex it off his head.
So bad.
So, I haven't even noticed that he has a beard.
Yeah, Kate brings it up every time he's on TV. It's like, oh, he looks better with the beard. It should be like, to be clear, he looks awful still. Good old James Ellsworth.
Jersey Jimmy.
The big dog or the hog? The big hog.
That's the big hog. Thank you, Daniel Bryan. Come back soon.
Please. So yeah, there's a pay-per-view this week, apparently.
Sure is.
It's Payback, which is one of, like, 6 pay-per-views that are just, like, one-word references to retribution. Vengeance being one. Next pay-per-view, which is Backlash. It's something that the WWE is really big on. Yeah, Can I just say this?
No. Okay, fine.
I'm not excited about this pay-per-view.
Really?
Just gonna come out and say
I am. I have a base level of excitement for like every pay-per-view, and I will say that there are things about this pay-per-view I am not very excited for. But like on the whole, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be some good shit.
I am actually. What's for me is I am not excited about the pay-per-view, which is rare. I'm almost always excited about a show on Sunday nights. It's just something I like. This is the first one where I'm like, I wonder if I can do something and miss the pre-show. At least.
Oh, pre-show? Wow.
But I'm the type of person that sits through this is the first time where I'm like, I'm interested in the Roman Braun match. And honestly, that's it. I take that back.
Alexa Bailey.
I'm excited for the Hardys and Cesaro and Sheamus, and I am excited for Roman Braun. I am not unexcited for Bailey, Alexa, and Seth Samoa Joe. I do not give a fuck about the Kevin Owens Chris Jericho match, and if I could not be forced to sit through the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton House of Horrors match, which we'll talk about last, because we need the studio space. I don't think I've ever cared about a World Championship match less than this one.
It's not a World Championship match. It's only a House of Horrors match now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, there's no world title, which kind of leaves it open as to who can win too.
Yeah, it's just, man, it's holy shit, do I
Okay, where's Enzo Cass versus the Club episode 900? Where is that on the card?
That looks to be a kickoff match.
Oh, good, because I don't care. Match preview, don't care. I like all those people, some more than others. I don't care. I'm still reeling from Finn having to fight the Good Brothers, so it's just too much emotionally.
I can't believe they did that shit.
Fighting the Good Brothers.
Yeah, and the other matches we didn't mention are the Enzo Amore Big Cass and Luke Gallows Carl Anderson match, which is the pre-show, and Neville versus Austin Aries, which will also probably be the pre-show.
Oh wait, I care about that.
You do?
Yeah.
So let's just make
match baller. I'm like ticking things off on my fingers right now, but no one can see that. Their Mania match was baller. Austin Aries has been legitimately one of the best parts of the cruiserweight division, and that's not a backhanded compliment. Like, he's been great. And I didn't even like Austin Aries that much. This is the most I've ever liked Austin Aries.
By far. Like, I don't really, from what I've heard, like him as a person. And this is the first time I was like, oh, yeah, you're not that bad. You're not a disgusting, like, pig of a person.
I mean, he probably is. But
he does have this really cool Ram facial hair setup. Kate noticed. She was like, why does he look like a ram? Oh, he's Aries. And she's much smarter than me.
I mean, I didn't want to say it.
But yeah, this match, I actually think that the cruiserweight division, and in particular, Jack, Neville, Austin, and TJ Perkins?
No, never TJ Perkins.
TJ Parker?
More like TJ Dorkins.
Fucking
nerd.
They actually had a really good... They actually had a really good match. I really like that tag team match.
You know what would be great is if he had heel entrance music and all he did was dab.
That's where it's headed, dude.
I just want it there now. Just fast forward.
It's headed for the Batista right before he left, when he only had the spotlight on him, but they didn't change his song, which is the single greatest entrance of all time. There's nothing close.
R-Truth's entrance, where he had no music.
Oh, yeah, that is... Okay, I take that back. There's stuff close, but I still put Batista top. And like you said, these guys have really genuinely great chemistry in the ring. They're the right combination of fly all over the place type of cruiserweights and work on the mat type of... Like, it's a nice balance between the two, and they can both work both styles.
And we have the drama of, Neville had to cheat to win last time. So, is he going to have to this time? Will he cheat again? Will Austin Aries get his ... payback?
Yeah. That's one. You get three.
Just three? Oh, I don't know. I could never be a WWE announcer.
So do we think Austin wins this match, or do you think Neville retains?
I think Neville retains, because Neville is not going to lose the belt ever.
Through tomfoolery / chicanery, or straight up?
Just never lose it.
No, I mean this match in particular.
No, I think he wins clean. Or maybe cleaner than, an eye gouge. But, not clean. Can't be 100% clean, but it's more of the cheating because he feels like it, probably, than he has to. Not
out of desperation, but out of like, I want to end this match now. Can we just slip on this banana peel?
I mean, Austin Aries is fine if he never wins that championship.
Yes.
Especially because you can slot him... I mean, you can slot a lot of people out of that division and be fine. But he doesn't really necessarily... Like, if he does all this and helps prop up the division and then kind of goes to the back of the line and someone else comes in, I think that does more good for the division in the long term.
And I think Austin Aries is one of the few guys that can work outside of the cruiserweight division and not have it be a problem, like a cognitive dissonance kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, they've already... It's crazy. The Bollywood Boys are the first ones that they promoted out of the division.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially. Yeah. I mean, they might still be in the division, but also working SmackDown now. So we'll see how that all goes. But I don't think we've seen them as much, right? I'm showing everyone that I don't watch 205 Live right now. But that's okay. Neither do you. I don't mean Nick. I mean literally all of you.
I would like to see Austin work with guys outside of the cruiserweight division, because I think he's one of the few guys that has cachet outside of the cruiserweight division that's working right now that would actually help the cruiserweight division and wouldn't just feel like them losing talent from the division. He is a very good jobber to the stars kind of guy where you'll...
that's Kurt Hawkins' role.
Mark... Stars, not jobber.
No, jobber to the stars. I mean, that is pretty much what Kurt Hawkins was doing this week. He was advertising, essentially like, I suck. Everyone who beats me goes on to great things. Who wants to fight me?
That's true. Amazing. I like that he's trying to upgrade from straight jobber to the stars.
Yeah, he's like the elite jobber. He's the jobber that all the best have to go through.
A true Brooklyn brawler.
He's like, kick my ass, I get a cut of the purse, I stay on television. You win titles!
Everybody wins!
This is great. I'm employed.
So yeah, we both have Neville. And just to go back real quick, we both have the club beating Enzo and Big Cass, right?
Oh, I don't care. I mean, yes. Sure?
Yeah, okay.
I will care when that happens, when like someone stuffs Enzo into a t-shirt cannon and fires him somewhere else in the arena. And I don't even dislike Enzo so much as I just need to see some actual comeuppance for him besides ragdolling. You just really need him to learn a valuable lesson about anything. Literally anything.
Literally anything that he's ever said. I do like that the running rumor is that Enzo gets his ass kicked so much because they love watching him get his ass kicked so much.
Which is great. That's great. Cool.
Yeah, it's a good niche to have. We like watching you get murdered repeatedly.
Someday, I mean, you know, he can wrestle and all that, but someday I assume he'll just be Cass's manager or whatever, or just like along for the ride while Cass is off doing single shit and they're not.
Bobby Heenan could wrestle too. Like, was he the greatest wrestler of all time? No, but he could totally work a match. Mm-hmm. There's active precedent for guys like Enzo occasionally just getting their ass kicked in a match for show just to get a blow off, but not ever wrestling otherwise. And I think, I agree with you. I think that's where Enzo is headed. So there are 3 title matches and the House of Horrors match. Are you more interested, which one are you the least interested in? Because I'm stuck between Bayley and Alexa and Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. I am weirdly, and I mentioned this at the beginning, super interested in the Hardys Cesaro-Sheamus match. Like, super interested.
I would say Owens Jericho is the one I'm least interested in. Not because it's going to be bad or anything. I'm sure it'll be fine. It will be perfectly cromulent or better. But like the belt's going to stay on SmackDown and Owens is going to stay on SmackDown, and this is the end. Like, I don't think there's going to be any payback. There will be no payback delivered. That's only 3. Because it's within the same thing.
All right, so you have 1 left.
Yeah, but I can use that word again for this match. That's what it's per match.
You're making up the rules. What are you, WCW?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. It feels. I understand the history of wrestling and in WWE in particular requires that after you have a quasi blow-off match at a WrestleMania, you have to have another championship match with a name that is at a pay-per-view with a name that's based on retribution. Like, I get that. I get that that's in their contract.
What's the name of it?
Payback?
2 left.
That's the only time I'm ever going to say it. Yeah, that's my goal. I stay under budget and on time, like our president. USA, US.
God, I'm rooting for Jinder.
In the US title match, or
fucking everything. Just that makes that stop.
That's the. I don't know. Can I be honest again with you, Mark? Can I open up?
No.
Mark.
Ugh. The only reason I said no is because I knew the voice was coming.
I don't like Kevin Owens on SmackDown.
Yeah?
I don't love it. He feels like he's too big of a star on that show but isn't WWE Championship material. It's hard to. I feel like he would be better on Raw right now as the top, like, mid-card, borderline main event heel, as opposed to, like, the anchor of the entire grouping of heels on SmackDown. It's hard to explain, but it feels like he's both overqualified for the job he has now and underqualified for any possible promotion.
Well, it's only because WWE's conditioned you to think that the US title is a piece of shit. So
I don't like him without a beard. I'm just going to come out and say it.
It'll grow back. That's how beards work.
Oh, fuck you. That's not growing back. Beards don't grow back.
They do. It's true. They really do. Did you know there was a point in Kevin Owens' life where he had no beard at all?
What?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You're fired.
You really had no beard at all, and you don't have the power to do that.
Grow a beard? I can grow a beard, Mark.
That's not what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, I think part of the problem with Owens right now is, and it's not like problem is overstating it. I just don't feel like thinking of a word that, you know, is a lesser version of that because I'm lazy.
The difficulty with Kevin Owens?
No, I'm not thinking. I shut off my brain. You know, he's caught in this payback thing where it's like, okay, I can't really start my AJ Styles feud and make it more personal and like make people care about it because I have to finish this Chris Jericho thing first. And also I got perpetual Sami Zayn shit happening, which isn't a complaint, by the way. It's just, you know, this is Kevin Owens. He's got too many things to focus on right now. We need to cut one of them out. So I'm interested in seeing what like post Payback Kevin Owens is, and not worry about it too much in the meantime.
Yeah, I hope this version of Kevin Owens it doesn't rub me the wrong way. It just feels like a guy that signed with the wrong team for the most money. Does that make sense? And I understand that's not what happened, but that's what it feels. He feels like he's wearing the wrong jersey.
I don't know. I'm fine with him building up the U.S. title for SmackDown and for the company in general. I don't know what else he had to do on Raw. That's kind of the other thing.
That's true.
Because what was the only thing left was for him to be like, "Hey, Brock Lesnar, that's my title," and then die.
Please, sir.
Yeah. So I think this is a better use of him, is to focus on the U.S. title and make it into something great. I mean, him versus AJ Styles. Come on, I want that. I want that very badly. And I didn't want AJ Styles to go to Raw. So that means this is the only path we had.
That's true. I wish he could be on both shows. He just feels... I'm sorry. He just feels more at home at Raw. I'll drop it.
It's okay. You're just not used to it yet. Also because he doesn't want you to love him.
I need him to need me to love him.
It will never happen. I heard that he shaved the beard specifically to hurt you.
That's fucked.
I mean, you gotta give him credit. That's very specific.
Yeah, that's where you earn your money as a heel, is finding specific fans and just breaking their heart.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Like Sasha did with that small child, the mini Bailey. Is he?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if I'm. So we both think Kevin Owens is winning this match, right?
Yeah, I mean, I care about the match. I just care about it the least out of the 3 title matches.
I don't know. Bailey's not gonna. I don't think gonna lose this match.
What if she does?
I'd be happy with that.
I mean, she's no Becky.
I'm not. That's how I feel about Bailey right now. I feel farts.
I feel like they have no idea. I feel like Bailey's probably the person who could have used to move to SmackDown the most. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Maybe this will be the Sasha turn moment. Who knows? Keeps Alexa from winning, but then, you know, turns on Bailey. Because there's certainly the possibility multiple times, and I can see Sasha being like, I see everyone else trying to come and get that title, and now I have to do something about it by killing you.
Alexa, to be clear, my lack of enthusiasm is not on Alexa. Alexa has been fantastic. I feel the same way. I don't feel exactly the same way about Bailey as I do about Kevin Owens on SmackDown in terms of being on the main roster. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel good about it so far. And it's not...
because they keep chipping away at her pure heart.
That doesn't bother me. I want her to be better in the ring.
Want that too.
And way better on the mic.
Well, that's what Alexa's there for.
And I guess that's part of the thing, is that it was much less noticeable that she wasn't that great on the mic when she was in front of a crowd of 1,000 people who would literally eat food out of her hand like a petting zoo. It was like she was at She was at a comedy club filled with all of the people that like her specifically and laughing at all of her jokes. And now she's in front of like an arena and it doesn't translate the same way. And it's a real problem for her because she's not good enough in the ring to make up for it. It was okay when she had, because she's one of the performers that has really great chemistry with people, but she can't just be thrown into random matches, it feels like. And I don't know if you can have that in a face champion if they aren't like the best talker. So I don't know what they do with Bayley. Like, I feel like they should have her drop it to Alexa, but you can't because you have to do Sasha, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, the march to Sasha is what's happening, and it's what we want. I don't know if Alexa will win. I don't think they'll let Alexa straight up lose, though. This really does feel like the moment where Sasha should turn, because it allows you an out with Alexa without having her show up and be like, the biggest, baddest new thing in town and then lose immediately to the champion. And gives them a reason to move on from it and let Alexa do something else. Like, I don't know, continue to be pals with Nia and like lay waste to everything else.
It's an awesome tag team, or a team up, I guess you call it in comics parlance. It's the only problem is if you have the two best performers. To me, the two best performers in the women's division are Nia and Alexa on Raw, at least, like overall, because Sasha and Bayley are both really bad on the mic.
Yeah, I mean, Sasha's no Summer Rae. Let's say that.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Go look in the Oculus again.
Yeah, it's a real problem when your two biggest stars in your division are only great wrestling each other and neither of them can talk about it.
What's amazing is, like, I feel like Becky is on SmackDown in part to help out unestablished wrestlers really improve their in-ring performance. And now Alexa has moved on from those lessons to, like, oh my god, girls, I'm going to teach you how to talk like human beings. So we'll see. I mean, a lot of the men can't friggin' talk like humans either, so this is absolutely not a jab at any of the women performers. It's just, it seems like Naomi can talk, and Mickie James can talk, and Alexa can absolutely talk, and Becky is awesome.
Charlotte can talk. It's like
Carmella can too. Like,
yeah,
Natalya can if you give her direction.
Natalia's like listening to a Tom Waits song. It's not going to work for everybody. The people who love it think it's the most beautiful thing ever.
When she has something to say, Natalia's great. When Natalia's just kind of meandering, I'm like, okay, good point. Tom Waits. Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Take it home, Natalya.
And yeah, I think it wouldn't be a problem if they weren't the stars of the division on top. If they were just like, I don't expect Nia to be The Rock on the mic, but she can talk like a person somewhat and is a monster destroyer in the ring. It works out. It balances out.
They're just at the stage with Bayley right now where they're trying to do like what they did with Roman Reigns, where they're like, okay, so John Cena does this. Let's make him do that. Whereas, like, okay, let's do the big extensive wrap-up. Let's do the like recap of the last 6 months of history. Okay, this isn't working. And eventually they moved Roman Reigns off of that. And like with Bayley, they're at that same point. So maybe seeing Alexa versus Bayley, in a mic battle is going to be the kind of thing where someone goes, oh, yeah, wow, okay, we need to change the approach there.
Yeah, I can't get exposition from Bayley, and that's her whole job at this point. Alexa needs to just carry the mic for this feud. So I think we might disagree. I think Alexa wins this. You have Bayley, though, right?
I have Bayley winning because Sasha wants to take it from her. Or maybe Sasha keeps Bayley from retaining.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And then it would be Bayley who needed Payback, but not at that show, so that doesn't count.
Could she show up and be like, I have some backlash I want to deal with. Is it cool?
That's
if I work it out here.
That's SmackDown. That doesn't
She can't just... What happens if she still hasn't paid back all of her backlash?
Well, then she'll have to get a little extreme with the rules.
Hopefully she has money in the bank.
No, that's SmackDown too. That is also SmackDown.
Son of a bitch. All right. Thanks for ruining everything.
Oh, hey, did you see... I know we should talk about Payback, but whatever. Did you see, just to tie into last week, Vegas odds on who's going to win Money in the Bank?
Yes, Mark.
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to toot my own horn there. You know, metaphorically speaking.
I'm not one to toot my own horn, but toot.
I am. I absolutely am. I'm the greatest. So Baron Corbin, who I talked up last week, and Nick was all like, "No, Mark, you're an idiot who doesn't know anything."
I didn't say you were an idiot who doesn't know anything. I said it's insane.
I was just going to give you an out and be like, no, he didn't say that. He was very respectful.
It's insane. They let a guy flip over an ambulance and they're like, you know who the real star of the future is? Motorcycle guy.
Well, here's the thing.
Keep rolling.
It's Undertaker. The thing is that Baron Corbin eliminated Braun Strowman from the Royal Rumble, so it doesn't matter. Braun's just trying to keep up.
By breaking the time-space continuum in wrestling?
Yeah, he should thank Baron Corbin.
For pushing him to the next level?
Yeah, if he didn't get eliminated, who's to say Braun would have done all these things? You can't prove otherwise.
Yeah, that is not how time works. You're totally right. So you have Bayley, I have Alexa. I think Alexa wins the title and becomes queen of the women's division. And then her and Charlotte have a feud where they combine the titles and then it becomes a touring title. That's my dream.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it recurring?
Yeah. It's weird. I talked to my doctor about it.
How often would you say you have this dream, Nick?
I'd rather not talk about it anymore.
It's okay.
We're all friends here. Is that what you're trying to tell me, doctor?
That's fine. Lay down on this couch. Tell me more about this dream.
I don't want to. What I want to talk about is the Hardys versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
Well, Nick, all I'm going to say is you're never going to find the solution unless you talk about it. But that's okay. We'll talk about it next week.
Thanks, Mark. The Hardys and Cesaro and Sheamus have been having a handshake fest at the end of every match.
Where the Hardys look very nervous pre-handshake. Like, hold on, is this the moment where the tall foreign guy kills me? He's very strong.
And his other tall foreign friend's like, hey man, back off.
Hardys are like, man, last time we were in WWE, big dudes like this in tag teams were mostly jobbers.
This is so much harder now.
Yeah, what happened while we were gone?
Drugs.
That hits really hard. No, that happened while they were there.
Oh, okay.
That's different.
Yeah, this is the match. This might be the match on the entire card outside of Braun Roman that I'm most excited for. I think this has potential to be the match of the night and one of the better matches of the year.
I'm down for this match. I am also hoping it's the moment where Sheamus and Cesaro decide that, like, they need to be bad.
Or it's the match where the Hardys decide that they've entered the broken universe.
Well, I want them to physically be broken, which, mentally breaks them. Like, I want Cesaro to swing the broken back into Matt.
Oh, man. I really like that.
Like, they win the titles from them and just beat them so hard that, like, old Hardys are gone. Broken Hardys are in.
I have one question before we go to predictions for this match. Do we feel as though Cesaro and Sheamus have moved past the point where we're worried about them breaking up?
Yes.
Okay. So based on that, who do you have winning?
Sheamus Cesaro.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the doorway to the Broken Hardys, and the only way to break them is to, break them. What do they have to get broken about if they're still the champions?
A lack of respect?
No.
For a nostalgia act?
Was it because they're not the Hardy men?
Sorry, I don't know the song for
it's
the
weird
Hardy
that they're the Hardy Boys again, since even last time they were in WWE, they were just the Hardys. Because, they grew up and were no longer boys.
I mean, look at them. They look as youthful as ever.
Psst, gravity says otherwise.
God, that was harsh. All right, so you and I both
it's fine. They're both great. It's just, Jesus, man. They don't look like boys.
Cesaro. So we both have Cesaro and Sheamus, both winning the title. You have them winning the title?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, as do I. Which leaves us with the last 3 matches of the night. Jesus Christ.
What? Where did they come from?
Braun and Roman. Actually, no, I'm not going to say. So, Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe.
Yes. Go on.
Another match I don't totally care about.
I care about it because just divorce it from whatever. I don't even know what you're upset about.
The entire storyline building up to it.
No, I like the storyline.
I guess it's this. It's that I thought they had a lot of potential for where they were going with like Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. And now it just feels like Seth Rollins is going to beat Samoa Joe and they're going to call it a day.
I do not agree.
So you think Samoa Joe is going to put on a good showing in this match, or do you think...
I think he's going to win.
You think he's going to win, and you think stuff's going to happen after that brings back at least part of what they had going leading into the Superstar shakeup?
Yeah, I feel like Triple H lost. And if anything, Triple H losing and Samoa Joe not losing is going to be like a reminder for Triple H where he's like, this whole sending the really talented angry people after my enemies, I really like it. I like it. This is a good thing. So, like, this is the lesson that we're going to learn, or Triple H is going to learn. It's like, why did I wrestle him in the first place? I should have just let Samoa Joe kill him.
I mean, the guy broke his leg.
His only mistake was leaving the other leg intact.
I also am not sure about, Seth Rollins' finisher.
Why do you hate Kenny Omega's moves?
Do I really need to explain that?
Actually, yes.
I hate Kenny.
You love the New Day and you hate Kenny Omega?
Yeah. I don't like...
Hold on. Is this Nick?
I don't like Kenny Omega.
If you're Jim Cornette, you have to fucking tell me, legally.
I don't like Kenny Omega. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
I don't like white people.
Well, when you put it that way, that's fine.
No, I like Kenny Omega, but I don't care. And not that he was like really making a big deal about it, but I give negative fucks when a guy on WWE takes a finisher of a guy on the indies. I can't bring myself to care. I know it's fucked up.
He's not on the indies, though. He's in New Japan.
New Japan is the indies.
The second biggest promotion in the world?
Yeah. That's like saying the La Liga for basketball is the second biggest league against the NBA.
No, come on.
You're right. And New Japan is a much smaller percentage.
Oh, yeah. But they're still they're still the second biggest. It's not like I tried to be like, the Impact is the second biggest place in North America, which would actually be a lie, but like, you know what I'm saying.
No, I genuinely don't care for Kenny Omega, but I don't dislike him in any way. I'm just not interested in it. I don't know why. I just don't. And to be fair, I've only really watched like Wrestle Kingdom and a couple of other shows from New Japan, but Kenny Omega just doesn't really do anything for me. I prefer Seth Rollins 100 times out of 100 over Kenny Omega.
Well, I mean, this isn't a conversation I think we should have now because we still have how many matches left to talk about?
2. But I will say this is, I like the new finisher better than the pedigree. I want the curb stop to come back.
You know when it'll come back? When all of the lawsuits are gone.
Literally the second the lawsuit's done, they're like, all right, you can have it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
So you have Samoa winning this, right?
Sure do.
Not the Isle of Samoa, but Samoa Joe.
I have Samoa Joseph winning this match.
And
Michael Cole definitely almost called him Samoan Joe or Samoan Joseph on Monday. Like
Samoan Joseph.
Yeah. Like Samoa Joe. It's like, you were going to say Samoan Joseph, weren't you?
Just once as a joke. So we have 2 more matches. Roman and Braun.
I mean, we don't even really need to talk about Roman and Braun.
Because we spend so much time.
It's like the podcast for a month has been about Roman and Braun.
I will say this. And we did talk about what we think is going to happen. I think this is the most important match that WWE has done since Money in the Bank 2011.
Wow. Are you talking...
long-term impact. Not at the moment. So, in other words, like 2004, WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan, that was the biggest thing they've done since, like, Hogan. Like, or Austin. Like, that level big. But he got hurt immediately after and then had to retire. Like, this is the most important thing they're going to do for a really long time. Because Braun is right on the cusp of becoming a huge deal. And Roman is right at the cusp of becoming the man in the company, and they need to decide what they're going to do going forward. I feel like the repercussions from this match will permeate out for the next couple of years.
That's why I think the right idea is to have Braun win, but also have Roman lose mostly just because of the previous damage Braun did. It sets Roman up to be sympathetic, which is not going to work with a lot of people, but it's going to work with enough people. And that's really all that matters. And plus, I think you can still work with moving Roman up even higher on like how much people have an opinion of him. If you get people being like, well, you just lost and that's all that matters. And other people being like, well, he lost because he's hurt, because Braun Strowman is, just ridiculous. It gives you a lot to talk about. It moves Braun up to this next level where it's like, holy shit, he beat Roman Reigns and he was smart enough to do it the right way. Like understanding what his only weakness is. Which is you can't beat him in a regular match. There's not enough time.
Also, if you keep the bucket of water away from his head, his hair is very dry with brittle split ends.
Do we know that? I bet you it's still perfect. It just glistens less.
That was a joke. Sorry, everybody. Don't tweet at me, okay?
Everybody knows Roman Reigns' hair is perfect.
So,
he's very handsome, though. He really is.
Yeah, he really, really is. Braun. So do we both have Braun winning?
Yeah.
Okay. Which brings us to the most important thing that's ever happened in the history of our show, which is trying to fit. No, because I just said that Braun and Roman were the most important thing in the history of our show. We're going to spend the next couple of minutes trying to figure out what the fuck a House of Horrors match is.
Ugh. Okay, so if this is just more WrestleMania fucking projection screen shit, I'm gonna be pretty upset.
Unless it's in a warehouse, and then...
Unless they do the projection thing again, and Randy's like, really? Again? And then actual, like, bugs get dropped in his face.
Which is what we wanted the original time.
Yes, yeah. I just want him to be covered in, like, larva of some kind.
And it's important. It's really important to recognize this match can go one of two ways. It can either go the Lucha Underground way, which is it helps create a world within a world that we can, like, live in and appreciate as, like, a separate part of the arena or the WWE universe, or however you want to put it. Or it can be, and Mark, I can confirm this because I watched the entire show over again. It was the triple-decker Doomsday Cage from Uncensored 1995. Like, that's where you're looking. There's almost no in-between.
And the only in-between is something real boring, like New Day versus the Wyatts at the compound.
Yeah, it's either has to be the type of thing where this goes back to the very beginning of the episode and what we were talking about, which is that Raw doesn't let anything happen. It doesn't let things change or people be elevated. It just treats everything like it's the longest running weekly episodic television show in history. And it won't ever stray away from that. If it does, even for a night, this match has a potential to, like, wash away a lot of shit over the past couple of months with Bray and with Randy and with the storyline. But I don't think that's going to happen, do you?
I don't. I mean, I keep thinking of the stuff, like, I want to see, and I keep realizing, like, oh, none of this is going to happen. I mean, we're probably going to get, spooky stuff and some teleportation, and there will be people in sheet masks.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
Some children, too.
Orton will probably not care about anything. Like, the things that would make me really care about this is if they legitimately made it into this weird house of horrors, and it is some, like, I don't know. Like the haunted house, but, like, also Randy Orton's on acid? I don't know.
Like, another match of this could be similar to, it was like the Monsters Ball match, or there's a specific, Raven's Rules. That's the TNA Impact match I'm thinking of, where they literally just bring a cart of things down to the ring and are like, hey, it's a House of Horrors match, everybody. Like, that's my genuine fear, because they're not going to do a triple-decker cage, which, again, I watched it. That's literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's just so bad. There was the rumor that part of this match is going to be taped, and part will be in the arena.
Which would be fine. I would be fine with that.
They just have to do something with the taped stuff.
Yeah. And they obviously have the ability from, like, a production standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
It's whether or not they're willing to do it, because they have never had a character they are more incapable of showcasing correctly than Bray Wyatt. I've never seen anything like this. They get so close every time, but it goes back to this fear of having him be the star of the show, because they're afraid of what it might mean if he fails. It's very unclear to me why they're unwilling to just put a rocket onto Bray Wyatt and be like, we're sending you to the moon, buddy.
You know, you go back and watch the old NXT stuff when he first debuted, when he was just the creepy dude from Cape Fear. And it was so much more effective than making him into what they've made him into. I don't know if at some point you're just going to have to hit reset on him. Like, this is an important moment, because if they don't screw this up, you've got a launching pad, especially because you've got him facing Finn Balor next, presumably. There's a lot you can do, but man, if they screw it up again, it's just, maybe it's time to retcon some things, or just forget about some things and kind of redo a lot. Just simplify.
Yeah. I would be fine with them just ignoring things with Bray Wyatt and just being like, listen, we know. Here's the new canon. Like, do what comics books do, or just like, here's the new canon for Bray Wyatt. Something has to be done at this match, in the same way that Braun and Roman is. He's going to decide the next 6 months of television, basically, for Bray Wyatt, it feels like. Because if he loses to Randy, why feud him with Finn Balor?
Yeah, I feel like Bray's going to win, actually. Because Randy Orton, having lost to Bray, seems very vulnerable to Jinder.
You're saying a Bray Wyatt win would not in any way hinder Jinder?
That's true. You are accurate. You are totally reading me correctly.
Is Jinder a construct?
That's a big word for the people chanting USA. That's a complicated premise. I'm just going to start chanting USA. Don't ask me uncomfortable questions.
Yeah, I think I speak for every single fan on Earth when I say just shit or get off the pot with Bray.
Yeah.
And this is the pot. This match is the toilet.
Like, imagine the things you could do if you successfully do this House of Horrors match and you have Bray win, and then he gets into a ridiculous, like, demon, non-demon feud with Finn Balor. People would actually be excited for it, instead of just being like, oh yeah, it's like face paint for his butcher coat.
There are a couple of options. I don't want to, like, fantasy book this match, but I want it to be something similar to, like, a Boiler Room match, because part of the problem with the modern WWE in terms of what they do backstage is it's the same 4 or 5 places in different arenas every single time.
Yeah, dipping into the old, like, that version of Mankind would be a good idea for them. Especially since he's not around to scream at someone's face about how dangerous it is.
Kurt Angle's like, this shit is great. I almost killed Shane McMahon once.
More than once.
More than once, yeah. Yeah, So you think Bray wins, or are you saying he can win?
No, I think he wins. I think the most logical thing is to have Randy lose a non-title match, which gives Jinder some ammo and creates this belief that maybe Jinder can beat Orton because, hey, look, he can be defeated.
If one jobber can beat him, that means the other one.
And it helps Bray with Finn, because, yeah, otherwise, like, what's Finn going to do? Finn can just be like, I don't know you. That's fine.
Are you serious? You just lost to a guy in another show.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I don't
Goodbye.
care. I'm going to go wrestle a cruiserweight or something. Somebody who matters.
Oh, that's... We just brought it to a real dark place. A cruiserweight. Somebody that matters. So, all right. So we both have Bray winning because it's literally the only way to save any face with his character going forward.
Yeah,
is that a fair assessment?
It's pretty much... It's not even that I believe he's going to win. It's just more like, this is the only conclusion that makes any sense whatsoever. But they've already done a lot of things that don't make sense that have helped set up this match. And the fact that it's on a Raw pay-per-view. And let's just end the show.
And see, I was about to ask if he loses this, should Bray have campaigned more in Wisconsin?
Listen, all the data said Bray had this House of Horrors match in the back.
Well, there were all those shy Randy voters.
Even though Bray lost in the primary.
Yeah, against Luke Harper.
Wow, it's just really...
Oh, Jesus. All right, so let's end on that really chipper note. Mark, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me on Twitter at Mark_Normandin, and that is Mark with a C. They can find my wrestling writing usually at cagehideseats.com. With Payback coming, they can also find some preview for Payback and a recap of it at sbnation.com/wrestling.
You can find me on the Twitters at The Nixter. That's THEN1CKSTER. And you can check us out at soundcloud.com/Rudo Radio. That's RUDORADIO. And you can rate and review and subscribe to us on the iTunes. Do you have a review for them to use if they can't think of their own?
I sure hope Payback isn't a House of Horrors. You have to type it with that inflection, too.
So what, sarcastic font the entire time? All right.
Use the old sarcasm tag.
I guess if there's nothing left to say, the only thing left to say is...
Payback!
Bye!